Greetings, everybody. Dave DeWalt here, founder and CEO of NightDragon. We're coming to you live from the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center in San Francisco, the home of the RSA Cybersecurity Conference this week, the biggest cyber conference in the world. And today, we're presenting the NASDAQ NightDragon CEO Series. I'm so excited because we have 11 of the hottest cybersecurity companies in the world today. And I get a chance as former CEO to interview CEOs that are here. Hitesh, oh my gosh, thank you so much for coming in. Really great to see you, my
Dave,
friend.
thank you.
It's an honor. It's
an honor.
been an honor. If those who don't know, Vectra AI, one of the hottest companies, now worth over $1.2 billion, raised $352 million, growing into a juggernaut of a company as well. And wow, I know you have a lot of networking background with your Aruba background, your Juniper background.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about Vectra and what it does for the audience that's here.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot. Thanks very much, Dave. And by the way, if you say we are one of the hottest, then it must be true.
Yeah, it's true.
It must be true. Look, Vectra AI is a AI-driven threat detection and response platform. We focus on the hybrid enterprise. And when I say hybrid enterprise, I'm referring to environments where you've got multiple clouds, data centers, SaaS applications like 365, identity, and we have a platform that addresses detection and response across all those different attack surfaces.
Yeah. Talk about AI to you, because everyone's got like AI. I mean, you actually have Vectra.ai, right? So
Correct.
Why is AI different for you?
Correct. Well, we are the OGs of AI.
Okay.
Okay. Well before people could spell AI, we started doing this, from the founding of the company. Look, I think AI is instrumental if you're going to add any kind of efficiency and signal clarity to ultimately get to the information that really matters to respond to attacks. Okay, it's all about attack signal intelligence. This is really core to what we do, and so there's an element of how do you use AI to find signal at speed and scale, but AI is equally critical if you're going to prioritize the things that really matter, and so you can focus on things ultimately efficiency in the SOC. All right. I think there are advancements that are going on around things like ChatGPT, that's everybody here is talking about. But the thing that I'm really super excited about is large language models.
Yeah.
And what can you use LLMs for to interface with data to enable threat hunting for the advanced tier in the SOC?
And talk a little bit about the why of that for a minute, Hitesh. I think it's really important for a guy who came from Fireside. It's all about true positive versus false positive. And now with the enterprise having so much signal, so much event, so much data to gather, talk a little bit about that. From your point
absolutely. So probably a live example is a good way to kind of frame this. One of our large financial customers, recently we sat down and did a review with them. On a given day, they would have, call it a few 100,000 detections. Few 100,000 detections.
Amazing. Yeah.
Right? Now, if you look at, I don't really care how big your SOC is, like how are you going to distill that down to the 5 or 10 things that really matter? And this is where AI can play a fundamental role, is taking the 100-something thousand detections and bringing it down to like the 5 hosts or the 5 devices or the 5 people that really matter the most. That efficiency gain, you cannot achieve that any other way other than utilizing something like AI.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about your journey for a minute, because you have such a big networking background yourself. This is where Vectra AI came from, but now you've really expanded. Talk about how you've expanded and where you're going with it too.
Absolutely. We started with a packet, and so when the company started out, our thing was like, okay, where can we apply AI most effectively? And arguably, and you've done this, especially given your background, the packet is the toughest data source. Right. So if you can really crack the nut on using AI to find signal in packets, every other data source by comparison is relatively straightforward. So we started there, and so in essence, we started inside the data center. But the reality for 99% of the enterprises out there is that they're hybrid. Our ideal customer profile is a large enterprise that has got maybe the remnants of some data centers infrastructure, always 2 clouds, is rarely 1. They're using Office 365. They're using Azure AD, maybe they're using Okta, and then they've got some version of endpoint, right? Those are the people we serve most effectively. In terms of stage of company and where we are, in the frothy period about 18 months ago, it was all about being a unicorn. As we all know, that's not the thing that really matters now. We are a centaur. We are well past being a centaur. Right. And I think, for the audience here, that's the Bessemer thing that put out there. You've got to be well north of $100 million of revenue ARR for you to be really relevant in the market.
By the way, congratulations on that. That's a rare air. Taking companies from 0 to 100 million is amazing.
Thank you.
But talk a little bit now about the road to 500 million,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Or a billion. And this is what matters in valuation. It's sometimes billions of valuation.
Yeah. So if you look at sort of like, where we're headed as a company, we are very much focused on ensuring that we've got the right coverage in the cloud, right? So between, AWS to Azure to GCP, providing full coverage is where we are number one. That's our number one focus. But on top of that, in the last, say, 5 quarters, we have launched a managed detection response service, MDR, right? And that has turned out to be a phenomenal growth driver for the company as well. So between the detection response platform and the MDR edition, I think we've got a ton of growth opportunity. In the cloud, as I think everybody would probably agree, we are at the early innings of adoption even now, and much like in about 15, 20 years ago, when some of the desktop operating systems were a gift that kept on giving for security, I would say cloud, unfortunately, is going to be a gift that's going to keep on giving for security.
I mean, we're only in the early innings, in my opinion, of this whole cloud transformation. A lot of companies are still, moving from prem to cloud, the hybrid, and I think you're perfectly positioned for that as well. Talk a little bit about your go-to-market strategy for a minute. Wall Street likes to hear that too. All this AI and intellectual property really important, but also winning in the channels, winning in the go-to-market side. How has Vectra approached that?
Absolutely. Look, I think no matter what your go-to-market structure is, ultimately there has to be a core value of the company that drives what your strategy is. And for us, we are maniacally obsessed about putting the customer first, like maniacally obsessed, right? And so I think and the reason I say that is that, okay, that is sort of like what you're really focused on, then ultimately how do you get to the customers? And in our case, given that our focus is large enterprise, yes, we have a direct model that sells to the enterprise, but we really heavily rely on the partner community.
Talk more about this for a second, because you just said something really important in my mind, the way I ran companies too. Customer first culture.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about the culture you're driving at Vectra.
Yeah. So at Vectra, we've got 3 values that every single employee at the company, all 600 of us, will be able to tell you this. 3, not 10, 3. Putting the customer first, no drama, teamwork. And I think, Dave, as a former CEO, you'd agree, it starts with the executive team, not the rank and file. Integrity. Those are the 3 things. Now, when it comes to customer first, I tell this to our team all the time, that really 2 elements here that really matter the most, right? First and foremost, are you really investing in building a relationship with a customer? Truly investing, right? And in other words, you're thinking about their success, not for the sake of a PO, but ultimately what is the outcome for them? Number 1. Number 2, and this is generally the hardest part, do you have genuine empathy for the customer?
Yep.
Can you really put yourself in their shoes? And I think any companies and teams that do a really good job with that, I think ultimately are going to win in the long run.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hitesh has built just an incredible company, folks. When you think of AI, I think you should think of Vectra AI. This company has truly built AI into its platform. And as Hitesh said, this is a company on a mission, and looking forward to seeing great things from you, my friend, in the years to come.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on
Appreciate
the show.
It. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, everybody.